guys, welcome back. It's the next day. Yesterday I sanded this and cleared it, and then I left it in the sun for like 10 hours. And it is dry. And usually you can tell it's dry by the way it looks. And if you take your finger and you push on it really hard and it doesn't leave a fingerprint, you know you're dry. So this is probably getting boring because I keep doing the same thing, but we're gonna sand it down again with 400 and 600, and then we're gonna re-clear it again, and hopefully these are filled in. These still feel, I can still feel those pretty good. These not so much. That's almost perfect. The A and C are not bad. So a lot of them are pretty good. It's this area right here that's the worst. So let's see what happens. Let's sand it and we'll know what it looks like. After we sand it, we'll know what it looks like. You can see how shiny this is. It's definitely awesome looking. So let's get to it. Let's get this thing sanded down and see if we can get it with one more application of clear. And then after this next clearing, if I think it's covered everywhere, or if I think it's flat, we'll let it set for a week then then we're gonna wet sand it and buff it. Because if you don't wet sand and buff it, you will get a little bit of wrinkling in the clear as it dries. So I don't want to have that, when the game's done. So, all right, let me grab my mask and stuff and we'll start sanding this down. We're gonna start with 400 and then go right to 600. Okay, that was a lot longer process because I knew that I had a bunch of clear on here that I could sand. So before I blow it off, this is all that's left that's low. Anywhere you see dust, okay, that's low right there, but the rest of this, absolutely perfect. You would not even think that was a plastic insert at this point. You would just think that's a sticker. So anywhere, like I said, we're probably 90% there. So we're gonna put 4 more coats on. Then I'm gonna let this dry for a week. Then we're gonna sand it down and we're gonna wet sand it and buff it because I'm very confident that we'll be able to get these out with this next clear coat. So like I said, guys, it's a time consuming thing, but to have perfectly flush inserts with 0 bump around them is awesome. I guarantee from the factory it probably didn't even come like that. So I'm gonna hit this edge a little bit more with the sander. I know you don't see it, but I just wanna clean that up a hair more, and then we're gonna get this in the spray booth. We're gonna blow it off, get it in the spray booth, and apply 4 more coats of clear. So just about there, guys. I'm definitely happy with the way this feels. I mean, you could honestly get away with this and leave it as is. That's so minor that the ball wouldn't be affected by it. This one is the worst of them all, which is number 15. But Why stop now? What's one more clearing? All right, once again, we're gonna use wax and grease remover. And we're gonna go pick up some clear, and then we'll tack cloth it off again and put 4 more coats of clear. And then it's going to, you won't see another video for about a week on this. I'll be working on Sinistar and Robotron today and the rest of this week, and probably next week until I get them finished up. But yeah, I'm gonna let this set for a good week, maybe even a little bit longer. Next, we'll start on the cabinet. So, I know that this is probably getting a little boring, but I want to show and document the whole process of doing this, because a lot of people started asking me about it and wanting to see it done, because I think they want to try to do it, which honestly, this is not hard to do. Anybody can do this. You could spray this clear coat outside. Even if you get some dirt in it, you can wet sand and buff it out. And I'm going to show you the whole wet sanding and buffing process and everything. We're going to go through every inch of this so you know what it's like. Now, the funny thing is with this, which made me a little nervous yesterday, because once again, I've never clear coated a playfield before. I've done graphics in cars, and people have wanted it buried and clear to where you couldn't feel any of the tape lines, which obviously we've achieved that a long time ago on this. But I've never done an actual playfield. But all my knowledge from the cars apply to this identically. There's really no different. But when this sits in the sun all day, this board, it warps. It goes like this. It humps up in the middle. And then once you bring it in the shop overnight, it flattens right back out. But I mean, that is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that. But once you have all the parts on it and it's in the cabinet, I'm sure the parts themselves are going to weigh it down as well. I know it's not super heavy, but you know, every little bit makes a difference. But it's definitely really flat right now. So I don't worry about it now when it goes in the sun and it arches up like that, because I know it's going to come back down. So once again, we're using the same clear. 4 more coats going on. Nothing's going to change with the mixing or anything like that. 4-to-1. This is the USC Universal Clear Coat. You could probably get this on Amazon, to be honest with you. I wouldn't doubt it, or just go online and look it up. Somebody messaged me yesterday about clear coating a not a regular bowler, but a puck bowler, and I recommended using a high solid clear for a puck bowler, because you have a pretty big surface area sliding millions of times down that clear coat, and a high solid clear is going to be harder. This is probably a medium to high solid clear. A high solid clear is going to dry like a freaking brick. It's going to be really hard to wet sand and buff. This is in between the two. This is going to be a little bit hard to wet sand and buff, but that's okay. I want it to be hard, but just keep that in mind. If you're going to do like a ball bowler or something like that, you can use the same method, no difference, but you gotta use a high solid clear, because that's going to give you the most strength possible. Yep, about a third of the gallon. So it'd take about a third of a gallon of clear to do a playfield. And this one's pretty rough. I don't think the when I do the Playboy one, I don't think it's going to be as bad, but then again, I didn't really feel it that much, so I'm not positive. But it is what it is. I know that I have plenty of clear left in this 1 gallon with this hardener to do the Playboy playfield. We were looking at colors last night for a Porsche. A 58 that I'm going to be doing. So, you've got to make sure you stir this stuff really well. Don't shake it, just stir it. You could shake it, it really won't hurt it, but it can introduce some air bubbles. But if you let it set for a minute after you shake it, they should all dissipate out of the liquid. But stirring this is very important. You got to get all that hardener mixed in there. Don't just stir it for 10 seconds because you're not going to have it stirred up enough. Now there's a thing called pot life, okay? That is the time that it is allowed to stay in the cup before you can't use it anymore. Let's see if this has it on here. I don't see it on here, but that doesn't mean it doesn't. A lot of times you'll have a pot life of 2 hours. And what a pot, that means that you have 2 hours to take a mixed clear with hardener and spray it before they don't recommend using it out of the cup anymore. Will it still be wet in the cup after 2 hours? Yeah, but it'll start gelling. It'll start getting like jelly, and you definitely don't want to spray that. So, all right, let's get out there and start clearing this thing. We're going to tack cloth it and just start putting the clear on. I got to actually open up the filters on the spray booth. Once again, I am not using a strainer. The strainer is built into my lid. For you guys that are doing it at home, you can get these paper strainers. You can order them online. You can get them at a local paint store for automotive if you want. I use these for primer. But you can get them at Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight sells them. So they're readily available. And when you buy a spray gun, it's going to come with a cup. This is all different stuff that you won't need to buy or anything like that. So your spray gun's going to come with a cup like this. And you just take your paper strainer, set it on here, pour your liquid through it. After you take it from the mixing cup, just pour it through that, and you'll be ready to shoot. So, all right, I'm going to get the spray booth turned on, and we're going to get the first coat of clear put on. Good tack on it, and then start hammering on some more coats. All the divots are completely filled in. It is 100% smooth as glass. There is zero dirt in it right now. Now, after probably a week, it will probably shrink up a little bit and it won't look as smooth as it does right now, and that's where the wet sanding and buffing comes in. But let's see if we can get a close-up on these inserts here. I wish I could show you better, but they are 100% flat with zero. Maybe I can get it with the light bulb. There is no low spots anymore. There, maybe we can get it like that. Very, very hard to show this. Maybe if I back off a little bit. Nope. But I guess you just have to trust me. There is no low spots anywhere left. All right, guys, that's gonna complete this video. It is perfectly flat now. So that's probably the flattest pinball pool playfield around. I don't think anybody else would have put that much time and effort into it. But you know what? Why not? I don't have a lot of money in it. Why not? I mean, I probably have $75 into it between sandpaper, clear, because you can't count the whole gallon of clear if you're planning on using it on other projects. I used a third of it. You know, I only paid maybe $100 for it with the hardener. You don't have to buy a super expensive clear because, so the difference in automotive clears is you can get 3 to 5 year UV protection, which can be a cheaper clear, which is probably what this is, or you can get like a 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 year UV protection, which is going to be like 3 times the price. And you don't have to worry about UV. We're not in the sun with it. Why waste the money? There's no point. A lot of the old cars I don't use the real expensive clear on. They don't see the sunlight enough to affect it. I mean, I painted my Dodge Dart plum crazy purple close to 10 years ago now with Summit Racing clear coat, and that car looks as good as it did the day I sprayed it 10 years later, and I paid less than $100 for the gallon of clear. And I did that for a reason, to see how long something like that would hold up on an old car, and it just goes to show that it looks just as good as when I painted it. But if you have the time, just do it. Why not? You're going to be so happy when it's done and you see it look like that. Now, like I said, when I was in the spray booth, I had dust or something on my nose. There is zero dirt in that paint job. Zero. But what's going to happen is after a week, it's going to wrinkle a little bit. The top of the clear coat's going to wrinkle a little bit, so it's not going to be perfectly smooth like glass. And that's normal. That happens. That's the drying process. That's just how it works. You can never just paint a car and send it on its way without wet sanding and buffing it. I mean, you could, but it is going to dull up on you over time. And that's why we're going to let that set now. I'm going to put it in the sun later today and just let it set for the next week. Then there'll be one more video on wet sanding and buffing that, and then we can start populating that playfield. But I'll probably let it set a little bit longer, maybe even, before I wet sand and buff it. I'd like to get started on the cabinet, because the cabinet is another thing I want to do really, really nicely. So I want to touch up all the artwork on the cabinet, and we are going to use satin clear on that, matte finish satin, whatever I have. And that will probably do the same thing. I'm probably going to fix the artwork, satin clear it, let it dry, sand it, and then clear it one more time. I'm not going to go crazy like this, but I want to seal in the plywood once again. anything, any of the planking or anything like that that's going on. If there even is, I don't know. I didn't really look at the cabinets that closely, but I want to seal it in and preserve it for as long as possible. This playfield should last forever, really. I mean, everything's encapsulated, so it really should never, I will never get down to the artwork. It'll never wear to the artwork again. And that's my goal with Playboy. I want to do the same thing with the Playboy playfield and the cabinet, just like I'm going to do this cabinet, and just preserve these things for pretty much ever, because I think as far as the electronic aspect of it, I think it could always be repaired, you know what I mean? And a lot of companies make new boards. This has an all-in-one board in it. I mean, in theory, it should last for a long, long time. Doesn't mean that something might not break, but it should last for a long time. You're always going to have solenoids and stuff like that that go bad, leaf switches that need to be changed and or cleaned, but that's just the nature of it, you know what I mean? But as far as the cabinet and the playfield, in all reality, that should last forever. There should be no reason why that ever fails. So let's take one more look at it, and then I'm going to end this video. And then I got to paint those doors on that pickup truck. I think it's about 9:30 now. Been out here since like 7:30. I'm going to get those truck doors painted, and then we're going to work on the Sinistar cabinet, which I'll probably do some of it off. Maybe what I'll do is I'll tape the other side and we'll spray the red on camera. I'll do the taping off camera, and then we'll start working on the control panels and stuff like that. So I'll see you guys later tonight, or yeah, probably later tonight. So have a good day, guys. Thanks for watching. Please hit the thumbs up. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Actually, I ended the video too soon. Let me show you the playfield one more time. I just wish the camera would show it better. It just really doesn't do it any justice. I cannot get, maybe there, sort of see it. But like the graining and the green and stuff, I'm totally fine with that because that's how it's always been. Even this valley for the ball is perfectly smooth. Alright guys, see you later.